Hello and welcome to Jrock's Babylon News for December 17th, 2025. Now, I've been wanting to talk about this for about a week or so now. Just finally have the time to sit down and do this. Today, I want to talk all about the recent, Kiss in particular, along with Sylvester Stallone, Gloria Gaynor, Michael Crawford, um, and George Strait, who were all honored by President Donald Trump at the recent um, Kennedy Center honors. Now, there's so much here to talk about. First of all, I should note that while the event took place in early December, it is not officially aired yet on TV. I cannot wait for this event to air on TV. And when will it air? Um, from what I've been able to learn, it will air on the night of December 23rd. Check your local listings, but that's the day that it will air. And I mean, I cannot wait to see this. I've seen some, like many of you, I've seen clips on YouTube. And let's start talking about what this is actually. Okay, as I said, Kiss along with Sylvester Stallone, Gloria Gaynor, George Strait, Michael Crawford, were all recently honored at the Kennedy Center honors by President Donald Trump. They all received their honors on Sunday, December 6th, at the White House, where President Donald Trump awarded all the honorees. He awarded them their medallions, this big, beautiful, like metal honor, huge medallion type of thing to wear, you know, around your neck. I can only imagine what it must have weighed, but I mean, I've seen some of these clips, and we're talking specifically about Kiss, because they're probably my all-time favorite band. But so as a Kiss fan, when I heard that Kiss was going to receive the Kennedy Center honors in 2025, I mean, I was flabbergasted. I just couldn't believe it as a Kiss fan because, I mean, even you look at something like, Kiss has now been around for 50 years, okay? And until they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014, they had never even appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. It took the band getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame before the Hall of Fame, before Rolling Stone magazine even, okay, maybe, at that time we thought, okay, Kiss has been doing it 40 years, maybe, after 40 years, they're finally getting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, maybe we should put them on the cover of our magazine, okay? But the Kiss has never been a critic's favorite. Let's be honest. And so when it was announced that they were going to be, part of the inductees in 2025 this year at the Kennedy Center honors, I just couldn't believe it. But what an honor! Of course, when it was announced in, I believe, late August, who the inductees were going to be this year, with all those other acts, as a Kiss fan, I thought, wow, this is exciting. I can't believe that such a prestigious thing as the Kennedy Centers is actually recognizing a band like Kiss. But at this point in 2025, Kiss is still stronger than ever. They've just this year we have the beautiful Dress to Kill box set and the beautiful Kiss Alive box set that came out. Massive sets, but man, just a couple about a month apart from each other, and Kiss is bigger and better than ever. And I was so surprised when they were announced that they were getting this award, and then to go to the White House. I mean, that's got to be a pretty big thing for a band. And what's interesting about the event, and some of these YouTube clips that I have seen air, whenever you see one of these award type of shows, they always have a red carpet type thing where, the people being honored, they come up on this, they come up on this big red carpet. The press is there as they're walking by. People from the press, reporters are asking questions, and cameras are going off, and cameras are flashing in their eyes and stuff. I seen I seen like a couple people go up to Gene Simmons and his wife Shannon, and one in particular reporter. I don't know a reporter's name. I mean, he wasn't a well-known reporter, but he was there at the event, and he asked Gene Simmons a couple of challenging questions, such as, um, who you voted for. What did he think of President Donald Trump? Was he worried about how Trump was going to perform, or what he's going to say at the ceremony? And Gene Simmons kind of in a non-political way, although many people in the press did not take his reaction as I did, but Gene kind of shouted back at the reporter, "Hey, when I first started voting years ago, used to go in the booth and nobody really asked you who you voted for. What do you care who I voted for?" And then Gene's wife was kind of behind him, and I don't know what's going on, but she looked very uncomfortable. I think she didn't like some of the questions they were being asked, and then again, people may forget that I don't know how well Gene knows Donald Trump, but he was years ago on Donald Trump's TV show, The Apprentice. So even Donald Trump, if you've seen any of the clips on YouTube, when Gene walks up to him and he's putting the medallion around Gene and he's congratulating him for winning the award, he mentioned the fact that him and Gene know each other and that and that they've been friends and stuff. And so the thing of it is, and talking about Gene's reaction to the question he was asked by a reporter, following David, people from A View and all these different political outlets were attacking. Oh my God, Gene Simmons, how wrong he was. He should not have attacked the reporter. How dare he? The freedom of the press. The reporter should be able to ask him whatever he wants to ask him. How dare he? Well, first of all, I think Gene acted the way he did, or he gave a response he did for several reasons. Kiss has never been a band really to get too political. I can't really tell you how any of the members of Kiss vote, who they voted for, and believe me, I've been following the band for for about the last 45, 50 years, and it's you typically don't see Gene Simmons going on and getting too political, or Paul Stanley, or any of the members of Kiss. It's just not what they do. They're pretty much Gene will talk about his reality show he had years ago, Family Jewels. He's involved in many things. He's made movies over the years. So Gene's not so much a stranger from talking to the press or going on other outlets to talk about Kiss or other things he's involved with. But I've never really seen him get too political. I've never seen any of the Kiss guys get too political. And I just think that he probably also didn't like the fact that he's being honored here at this award ceremony this night, and this reporter is looking for a gotcha moment, rather than saying, "Hey, Mr. Simmons, congratulations on being honored here tonight. How does it feel?" So I think that's kind of the reason Gene reacted the way he did. And then as far as going back to December 6th, when all the honorees were in the Oval Office and they all received their medallions by the president, all the members of KISS, specifically, I talk a little bit about Gene. Okay, Paul, when Donald Trump puts awards him his medallion and puts it around his neck, Paul basically says, "Thank you, Mr. President." Thanks him, for the honor. And then he gave a little speech about, when he was being asked some questions by reporters. Paul talked about the fact that they came from Jewish families and that their parents were immigrants, and KISS was really the embodiment of living out the American dream. And even Peter Criss, who's just recently turned 80 years old, he has a new solo album, his first solo album in 20 years, coming out this Friday, December 19th. He got up and he was really honored, and he too said, Thank you, Mr. President. And he was honored. He thanked the president. Um, and then when Peter was there with his wife Gigi, and they were on the red carpet, and Peter didn't really receive kind of the same kind of crazy outlandish questions from reporters. I mean, reporters were asking Peter about, hey, how's it feel to get the award? And they talked to him about late great Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley, who sadly had died just you know about a month and a half ago, in October, and Peter talked about how excited Ace had been that the band was going to be honored, and he said it was so sad he didn't get to live to see this day. So sad about what happened. Ace's daughter Monique was there, and she accepted the award for her father Ace. You can only imagine what was going through her mind. I mean, she's just kind of she's there to accept the honor, like I said, on behalf of her late father. Now, Monique, like the other members of Kiss and other people being honored that night, she, she for the most part has just lived a private life. She probably the biggest stage she's ever been on, that night at the Kennedy Center. And also in reference to Ace Frehley, the fact that he wasn't there, there was an empty chair kind of place there where he should have been sitting. The Kennedy Center and the president, I think, made a point telling Kiss that, okay, that's one way we're going to honor him. We're going to put an empty seat where he should have been sitting. And so again, this was just to me as a Kiss fan, a big, beautiful event. I mean, and like I said at the top of this, Kiss and all the honorees, George Strait, Gloria Gaynor, Sylvester Stallone. These are all people that have had long-standing careers, successful standing careers in the music business, in the entertainment business, and many of them are still doing it today. And so that was another thing. I think all these people that were being honored, they really deserve to be honored. They really deserve to be there. Now, what I don't understand is the backlash that people are getting. I mean, I heard a lot of people kind of, in regards to Kiss, they receive probably more backlash than anybody say, oh my God, I've heard some Kiss fans online, a lot of people, a lot of these political type reporters. Oh my God, how can a band like Kiss accept an award from Donald Trump of all people? Oh my God, what were they thinking? People should not buy Kiss albums anymore. I mean, I just can't believe this kind of backlash. I mean, put yourself in the band's place. I mean, I dare anybody to kind of put yourself in the band's place. I don't. There might be a few people that, just on principle. I'm sure, like if you ask Robert De Niro, no, Trump wants to honor me. I refuse to take an award from him. I get up there and I'll tell him to F him. But no, that's, I think most normal people, if somebody wants to honor you, you're going to accept the honor. And why do only certain people receive this type of backlash? I mean, this is probably the first time in the history of the Kennedy Center honors where people have received that kind of backlash for accepting an award from the President of the United States. I don't get it. Why should I not be happy that my favorite band is being honored, or one of my favorite actors like Sylvester Stallone? I mean, let's judge these people, first of all, on their careers. I mean, I can't think of too many Sylvester Stallone movies that I didn't like. I mean, I was pretty much a fan of everything he ever did. I'll say kind of probably the original Rocky probably would be my favorite. I mean, I like all the Rockies, all the Rambos and stuff, but that he ever did. But so why do I think for a minute that Sylvester Stallone should turn down the award? He deserves it. I mean, at this point in his career, he's getting up there. in age, but he's still a working actor. He's still out there um, pumping out great movies and great TV shows. So I think he's another one that deserved to be there. Um, I don't hear too much backlash for Gloria Gaynor, accepting the award, or nor do I think she should receive any. I don't think any of these people should receive back any kind of backlash just for an accepting an award. It's a great honor to get an award like this, and I think if you look at the history of the Kennedy, um, Center honors, this is probably the first time that such mainstream artists. I mean, again, you'd never think that Kiss would be receiving such an honor, but it's great that they are, as long as the other honorees. I didn't hear the same kind of backlash like when Hart was inducted, received a Kennedy Honors Award, or I don't. I think it was Led Zeppelin, and Hart, performed in honor of Led Zeppelin. But again, you get my point, and so I don't see what all the backlash is about. Even another reason I can't wait to see the performance on December 23rd when it airs on TV is because a Cheap Trick apparently played honoring their lifelong brothers in Kiss. Now, Cheap Trick, from what I understand, they performed a great rockin' version of Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day, the great rock and roll Kiss anthem. If you've ever been to a Kiss show, they end practically every concert with Rock and Roll Night and Party. That's the night. That's the way they close out the night when they used to play in concert. The confetti and everything, everybody's going crazy. Paul Stanley, that's the number where Paul Stanley just goes crazy and he breaks his guitar, smashes it up into little pieces, and throws the broken guitar out into the audience. I mean, can you imagine if you had one of those guitars? I mean, broken up and all. It must be every Kiss fan's dream, if you know what I mean. And so I can't wait to see Cheap Trick performing Rock and Roll All Night. I mean, in fact, I went to see if I could find it on YouTube, and of course I couldn't because it hasn't aired yet. So you'd think it might have leaked out, but hasn't yet. So that's another amazing thing about this, that nothing has leaked out. And yet, if you know anything about Cheap Trick's relationship with the guys in Kiss, I mean, very early on in Kiss's career, like I think it was around 1977, they had Cheap Trick open for the band. In fact, when they recorded Kiss Alive 2 at the LA Forum, from what I understand, Cheap Trick was opening band. And so Cheap Trick, thanks Kiss, or they've had a friendship with Kiss ever since. And one of the things that became a staple at Cheap Trick concerts is that when they wrote the song Surrender, and when they performed Surrender, this is a Cheap Trick original song, which is one of the big Cheap Trick hits. There's a part of the song that says, "Daddy's Mommy's all right, Daddy's all right." Some about my Kiss records, and Rick Nielsen will usually, while playing a concert, got like an old Kiss vinyl they'll throw out into the audience, and it just became a staple of Cheap Trick show, and it's their way of showing, saying thanks to the guys at Kiss for giving us one of our first breaks opening, up for Kiss, and so they have been lifelong friends with Kiss, and so I heard Robin Zander talking about the fact that, hey, we were asked to, if we wanted to perform at the event in honor of Kiss, and we couldn't think of a reason really to turn it down. And even Cheap Trick, just because they performed at this event and nobody's even seen the event. So I dare say, before you give Cheap Trick any kind of backlash for their performance, at the very least, let's wait till this event airs and base it on the performance. But Cheap Trick, very much like Kiss, has been a band that never disappoints if you've ever seen them in concert. And I've seen a ton of live clips of the band over the years. I got a lot of their albums. Cheap Trick is another band that just doesn't disappoint. Cheap Trick, I can see why they were picked to honor Kiss at this event. So I'm just dying to see that live performance from Cheap Trick. And the thing that they're receiving backlash because they performed at this event that was emceed by Donald Trump. Oh my God! Oh my God! But again, here at Jrock's Babylon, we're not here to get political, but this is about the music. This is about the entertainment. I think all these people, and I will go through the list one more time. The members of KISS. Now, it's very important in talking about the members of KISS to realize the only members of a band that were actually honored that night were the original four. Of course, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Peter Criss, and the now late great Ace Frehley. And they didn't award any of the other guys that have been KISS over the years. However, KISS is very tight with all the former members of the band, with the exception, of course, of Vinnie Vincent. But Vinny's kind of, he's been off the grid for many years, and he's sued KISS many times over the years. He's lost every time he tried to sue KISS for any money that he felt they should pay him or whatever. He never won any of those lawsuits, and so Vinny's kind of been estranged. They really don't talk at all to Vinnie Vincent. He's never invited to any KISS event. But the last time, Gene Simmons reached out at all to Vinny was when he did his Vault tour a couple years back, where he released this box set, and it was a special thing where he'd go and put on these special performances and deliver the box set to the people that bought the box sets and stuff, and put on special performances. At one of these Vault events, he did reach out to Vinny, because he had some unreleased songs that were part of a box set that Vinny was a co-writer on, and he thought, hey, I'll try to reach out to Vinny. Let's see if we can I'll give him an olive branch one more time and see how it works out. And it just didn't work out. Everything seemed to go great at the event. If you've seen any of the footage on YouTube, it's there for you to see. Gene was very cordial with Vinny, but then Vinny went on some podcasts and he was bad-mouthing Gene, saying that he shouldn't have done the event. He regretted doing the event. And so ever since that, it's kind of been sour grapes between the members of KISS and Vinnie Vincent, but I can't really say I blame the guys. They've given Vinnie Vincent every chance in the book, and he blows it every time. Vinnie Vincent is one, while we're on the topic. He has a real problem even showing up to his own events. I mean, he makes announcements that he's going to appear at these events, and then at the last minute, like a couple hours before, or maybe the day before, he doesn't show up, or he announces he's not going to do the event after he's gotten all the fans excited. So that's a little bit I'll say about Vinnie Vincent. But now, as for the other former members of KISS, and I'm talking, of course, about drummer Eric Singer, guitarist Tommy Thayer, and guitarist Bruce Kulick. Now, these guys are all, I mean, let's talk about Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer. They have been the other half of KISS for like over the last 25 years, at least, I would say, with mainstays Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. And again, Eric and Tommy and Bruce, they've never done anything where Gene and Paul would not want to include them in the KISS family. And the thing is that I just got done listening tonight before doing this to an interview that Bruce Kulick did with Eddie Trunk, of all people, talking about the fact that he got to attend the Kennedy honors as a special guest. Now Bruce went on to tell Eddie Trunk that, okay, I was not there that night because I received an award or anything. I wasn't being honored, but the guys in KISS were, meaning Gene and Paul and Ace and Peter, and even Ace and Peter, Bruce Kulick has had contact with over years. He talks about the fact that he was friends with those guys. I mean, he's probably not as tight with Ace and Peter as he is with Gene and Paul, but he was cordial with the guys. He got along. I never heard Ace Frehley or even Peter Criss over the years say anything but nice things about Bruce Kulick. What a nice guy they thought he was. And so it was interesting that so Bruce Kulick says, yeah, I didn't know that I was going to get to attend the event until about 10 days before. I get a call from the KISS organizations saying, hey, I'm invited. They told me I had to get dressed up in a black tie, and suit. And I got, I had to fly down there, and he said that, I got included in the VIP, section when the ceremony was going on, got to hang out with the band. And so again, even though he wasn't being honored that night, the guys in KISS wanted Bruce and Eric and Tommy to be part of the event, even, they're KISS family members. So I think that was another cool aspect about this. If you're a KISS fan, to know that all the guys in KISS, they're all great friends, and so who knows what will be next for the guys in KISS. But what a great honor this was, and I'm so glad that they received it, and so what an honor. And I think if you look at the fact that what this is again, all the people who were honored that night received this prestigious award because of the huge contribution they all made to American culture through performing arts. And I cannot wait to see this event. And I'll just tell you guys all right now, before we end tonight's episode of Jrock's Babylon News for December 17th, 2025, that I do plan to do a follow-up report on the actual event when it's televised, next week. So be looking for that. And we got so much more coming down the line. So thanks for tuning in and checking this out tonight. And I just wanted to also thank you guys for your continued support of the channel. And if you want to continue to support what we do, please subscribe to both our official Facebook page and YouTube channel. And of course, all you have to do is type in Jrock's Babylon, and you'll be able to find us. And if you do that, anytime we do something like this or post anything new, you will be notified right away. And so I have been your host tonight. And of course, I am Jason Jrock Houston. Yes, that's the name. And I've been enjoying, doing this tonight, talking about KISS. And I've been putting this off for a while because I really wanted to be sure to really research it and know what I was talking about. When I talk about the Kennedy honor ceremony. So it took me a couple of days to research it, and I just wanted to really get a feel for what it was about. So I've enjoyed doing this tonight. I'll see y'all again real soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.